Welcome to a new full Lightroom editing session. This one is editing a pet photo. This great photo of this dog right here. This is something that you might run into, especially if you have a pet with dark fur. It's hard to expose properly to their face, and when you don't see their face, you don't see their eyes, you lose out on the emotion and having a really good photo. So we're going to take this photo on the left, make it something like this on the right. If you want to follow along, make sure you download the pet photo that is included in the downloads for this course. All right, so we're starting like this, and first things first, the crop is a little off. It just feels awkward. It's a little bit tough. I wish I would have taken this photo. This is one from WeSaturate.com. I would have tilted down, or not tilted, but crouched down a little bit more and also given less headroom so that it was a bit more balanced and the pup's eyes and forehead were a little bit more on the top thirds of this photo. We can crop in like this. I'm going to put him or her on the left side of the frame so that we see more of the body in the back. I found when I cropped it like this in the first time playing around with it, it looks a little unbalanced. Like this, to me, looks a little bit better. All right, so we can quickly actually fix a lot of the exposure issues in the eyes like this by just bringing up the shadows right here. So we can bring up the shadows. That looks pretty good. If you want, you can bring down the blacks a little bit, but I'm going to leave the blacks as is. Now, this is a very contrasty situation, and there's a lot of highlights that I want to bring back down as well. Getting more color back in the fur as well. In terms of clarity, the thing about this photo is the focus is off. The focus is on the nose of this pup, not on the eyes, and that's a problem. Usually with any type of portrait photo of a person, a pet, you want the focus to be sharp on the eyes. You can tell right here, it's sharp on the nose, and that's hard when you're using autofocus when your camera will detect the nose, which is a big object right in front of the frame, faster than the eye, and that's what it's going to focus to. I'm going to show you a couple tricks though for this photo, especially with pets. It helps a lot to make it look like the eyes are a little bit sharper in focus. Cool, so let's actually go ahead, and there wasn't really anything else I was going to do except boost vibrance just a little bit and clarity just a little bit. The clarity will help with that out of focusness a little bit. If you go crazy with it, it starts to look a little bit too crazy. So I'm just going to boost it just a little bit. In terms of colors, if you want to make the green pop, you can. It's not something I necessarily did in my edit. Maybe the red bandana or the red collar right there. That actually looks pretty good. I'm going to bring back down the yellow because I don't want as much of the yellow to pop, which you actually have a lot of yellows in the furs as well. So I just really want that green to pop a little bit more. Cool. So let's play around with the eyes. So first I'm going to take my brush tool. We're going to zoom in here, and then if you zoom in with the Z button, you can press the space bar and click around with the hand or the move tool to move around, and we're going to want to do this. Now, it helps to do this in a couple steps. So first, we're going to add some pupils to his eye. Well, of course, he has pupils. She has pupils, but we're going to make them a little bit more defined. So what you want to do is actually take your brush, get it to a size that's about the size of the pupil, not the entire eye, but the pupil, and then also turn down the feathering. We don't want as much feathering for this. And then just click once right over the pupil, press O to make sure that you can see what is being selected. We're basically creating our own pupils and we're making them sharper. So if we have our pupils there, we can turn off our mask overlay so we can see what we're doing. All you really have to do is bring down the exposure, and also you can boost the dehaze, which will basically do sort of the same effect while preserving some of the detail in the pupil. You see some of the reflection still. So something like that can start to help. Now pay attention to where the pupil is. It can make your pup or your person or whoever your pet is look a little cross-eyed if it's a little bit off. And so this one on this side does look a little off to me, so I'm going to go ahead and erase that, make sure my flow is up so it completely erases it. Then go back to my brush and put it right there. That looks a little bit better to me. Now let's do the same thing to boost the color of the eye around, or the iris. So we're going to click New, Let's turn on auto mask. Actually, we don't need to turn on auto mask. We're going to use a range mask. So we can increase the feathering just a little bit, but we just want to paint over the eye. Press O to see what we're selecting. Go over to this eye, like so. Now we're going to select a color mask. We're just going to click right in where the iris is. Then we might want to turn down the amount, so it really only selects that part. You might even need to go in with an eraser and erase the part of the pupil that you just created, because you don't really want the pupil to have a bunch of color in it. Something like that looks pretty good. Let's see how it works. I know when the mask overlay works, it looks like it might be a little off, but we can do things like with brown eyes by increasing the warmth. That can help, or by adding color down here. So we might start with like a yellow, maybe go down to the brown, more like an orange. That looks pretty good. We can also add more clarity. Now that looks a little bit too orange when I add that clarity, so I'm going to get rid of this color. Just play with the warmth. Something like that looks pretty good. And I'm also going to add some sharpness as well. So now our eyes start to look a little bit sharper with those two tricks. We can also go over one more time with maybe a brush or a radial filter. Let's do the radial filter actually, just over this entire area of the eyebrows and the eyes. And we're actually going to invert it, because if I press the mask overlay, you'll see that it selects everything outside of this mask. I want to select everything inside, and I want to add sharpness. Now clarity isn't what I want to add too much of, because it adds contrast, but a little bit can help. All right, so we're getting a little bit more detailed. Now that's starting to look pretty good. One other thing I'm going to do with this is create our own custom vignette with a radial filter around the face. If I go back and I just add a post-crop vignette down here under effects, it's just going to create a vignette around the frame. Now that might look okay to you, and it looks pretty good to me too, but I want the vignette to actually go right around the face of our pup. So I'm going to click my radial filter, create a radial mask around our face, something like that. Pressing O to see our selection, we can see that it's the outside. Maybe turn down that feathering just a little bit. Pretty good. And now we're just going to bring down the overall exposure. So we're really focusing our attention on this pup. Now when I do that, everything starts to feel a little bit too dark. So after I fix this and make this just a little bit bigger, we're going to boost the exposure just a little bit. But notice now this is a custom vignette for the face. It's kind of on the left side of this frame. Let's click done. And now let's go back into our overall exposure and boost everything just a little bit. We can even go into our tone curve and just bring up the darks just a little bit, bring back down the highlights, because we don't want to lose that information, to have just a little bit more of a well-balanced image. I'm bringing down those blacks just a little bit as well. All right, so if we reset this, we can see the before and after from this to that. Pretty good. I think the eyes look a little bit more in focus, which is good. Again, you can't make something that's out of focus in focus in Lightroom or really in any program, but the tricks that I showed you with the eyes can help, especially with pups and animals that have really big pupils. So play around with that technique if you ever have this issue. All right, thank you so much for watching this lesson. If you have any other questions, let me know. As always, I would love to see your pets and your edits of their photos, so post them on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever. Tag me at Phil Ebiner or at Video School Online. I would love to check them out. Thanks a lot and have a beautiful day.